Hi, I'm Greg Sandell. I'm a software developer at Pathfinder Software in Chicago, Illinois. And I'm going to talk today about the Metropulse project, which is a website for the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, also known as CMAP. This website offers a view into Chicago area regional data that addresses transportation, housing, economic development, open space, the environment, and other quality of life issues. The target audience is professionals in urban planning, public policy, and anyone else interested in data about life in the 7-county area around Chicago. Brief technical summary of how this was written. This is written in HTML5 with jQuery, obviously using JavaScript and CSS3. A number of jQuery plugins were also used for handling things like pop-ups, slideshows, cookies, and animations. There are also in the project 2 Flex modules, which are legacy components from a previous iteration of the site. So they were not part of the present project, they were simply dropped in to continue from the old site. I'd like to mention my collaborators here at Pathfinder Software. Clayton Miller did the user experience design and digital imagery, and Gretchen Goodrich was the project manager on the project. So let's get right into it. You are seeing the home page here, and on the home page we have a slideshow which gives a view into different areas of the site one can go into. The user would click Learn More and then be brought into a specific area relating to this. We have a live hookup to their Twitter feed, the official company Twitter feed. We have a couple pages, informational pages. Here's the About page. Here's the FAQ. And one thing you'll notice about this being an HTML5 single-loaded application, single-page application, is that everything happens immediately. There's no pause, there's no flash of white. Page transitions are instantaneous. So let's go into the really exciting part of the site. It's the topic navigation. And the data that these urban planner users are dealing with is very hierarchical. They break down into top-level categories that you see here on the left. If we go into the category of arts and culture, there's a secondary level of topics inside arts and culture. We'll go into occupations. It breaks down even to a third level, and I can select one of those. And finally, we're at leaf nodes, where we can look at an individual piece of data or individual collection of data. So let me go to property, foreclosures, tax sales and liens, number of tax sales, and I'll select just the first one, frequency of sales. I click Get This Data, and here we have a grid view of that data that we selected. Frequency of sales. We have the 7 counties represented here in columns, and then the years for which there's data. There is also a chart view of the same data. All right, this is one of the legacy Flex modules that we simply dropped into the site. And we have a map view. That's the other Flex module. This one takes a little time to come up. There we go. And you can zoom, obviously. So we can go back here, change selection, and it'll show me exactly where I had originally navigated to. Let me now select all of the possibilities. I'll say Get This Data again. And what's going to happen is, because I was recently in map, most recently, it's going to change this data for the map view. But for right now, I'd like to show you the chart, the grid view for this. So what you see here is the 3 topics that I picked. And there's a breadcrumb area here which shows the first, second, third levels of navigation with the 3 topics we selected. And what we have over here is a couple buttons that allow us to adjust the view of what we're seeing. They are similar to pivot functionality that you might find in Excel. Right here we have the ability to swap the X and Y axes. As I mentioned before, we've got counties in the columns and time periods in the rows. I flip X and Y axes, it changes to the opposite. Now we have time periods in columns and counties in rows, and it does it for all three topics that I selected. And I'll go back to the default. Next, we have the ability to rotate the complete set of data, and what this does is it treats the entire data set you see on the page as a giant cube, and then rotates it by the different ways of slicing and dicing that data. So right now the topic is the title of each grid, but I can change that now to the time period is the title of the grid. So we're seeing the same data, but it's been flipped around so that now we have counties here and the topics here, and one more flip or rotate will allow us to see the county as the title of the grid, of each grid, and so on. And within here I can also do flip X and Y axes. Okay, let's look at this part of the screen here, which allows us to filter the data we're looking at by geography. And there are three geography areas we can look at. We call them zoom levels. You can look at counties, and here we have the ability to select or deselect any of the 7 Chicago area counties. Then municipalities. Here we have the complete list of all municipalities in the 7 county areas. And we have a further filter in this case, which if I want to look at just the counties in Cook County, I can do that, or just the counties in Kendall County, I can do that. And finally, we have community areas. These are actually Chicago community areas. These are all the neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. So if I want, I can filter down to just those. Let's leave it at counties for the time being. And what I'm going to do is deselect Cook County. I'm going to save it. And this grid automatically updates. And as you can see, Cook just disappeared from the columns. Now I'll switch to chart view. It updates and shows Cook missing. Let me make a further change where I'll eliminate DuPage, use this geography, and our flex animation updates with that county removed. Okay, and we can go into some other geographic choices here. Now, here I'm switching from counties to municipalities. Anytime we have a zoom level change, we actually change the underlying data that's available. So let's just pick something from random here. Demographics, income, education, employment, employment status by age and veteran status, civilian population 18 to 34 years. Okay, and as you can see, it's got just the 6 municipalities in Kendall County here. And let's try community areas. I'll select quite a few here. It's always a good idea to select a good number of geographies because the data can sometimes be somewhat sparse that they have available. Redraws the screen because we're at a new zoom level. And there we have the Chicago area communities that I selected in chart view and in grid view. Okay, we've got some functionality up here, things that we can do with the data. One thing we can do is save a query, and that pops us into this user account section of the site. It allows the users to create their own account and save their bookmarks here. This is the bookmark I just saved, regional diversity, 16 community areas. Let me close this and let's go to a completely different area. I'm going to change the zoom level to counties, navigate somewhere else. Now let's bring back that bookmark I saved just a second ago. We'll go to my account, regional diversity, 16 community areas, grid, and what happens is the site auto-navigates to that location. It changes the geography that was saved with the bookmark to that geography, and if I want to look at what was selected, I've got the complete navigational hierarchy here, and the the breadcrumbs here that show first level of community, second level diversity, third level regional diversity, and then the one topic that I selected. We also have a search function. I can search on a word that is in the topic hierarchy. It's searching for words both in these first, second, and third level nodes, and also the items in the leaf level node. So I can get the data and look at that. I change selection, and I still see my search results there. Okay, another thing, download CSV. I'm going to switch to one that I know will always give me back data. And that's not a function of the application's performance, it's a function of the data that's available from the agency. Let's say download CSV, and you can see it has written a CSV file to my downloads folder. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to bring up my preferred editor, which is LibreOffice, and scrolled over to the right, looks like. Let me fix that. And there's my comma separated values data in an Excel type spreadsheet. Finally, we have an about this data link here, which will cause this page to flip over and show where this data comes from. There's several websites here. This one, County Business Patterns, is just one example. So this and many, many other sites is the source of all this data that we're looking at here. And that about covers it. That's everything about the MetroPulse project that we did. Once again, I'll remind you that this was all HTML5, JavaScript, CSS4, with the exception of the old Flex modules that were imported over from the earlier iteration of the site. The client is very happy with the fact that we use this open source technology because the entire site can be deployed as a file, and all the assets for this are editable by them. It doesn't require special compiling. It doesn't require a special environment to deploy. They don't have to go back to some earlier developer and ask them to make a change and send them over a binary. It's all in their hands. They're very happy about that. So that's all I have to say about that. Thanks very much for listening. My name is Greg Sandell. And again, my collaborators were Clayton Miller and Gretchen Goodwich. And we are at Pathfinder Software in Chicago. Thank you.